Mr. CHELLEKENS, you are the responsible in the cabinet of Mr. Stavros Dimas for climate change. The Commission has just adopted a green paper on the adaptation to climate change. Can you please describe the most important points of this document?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me here, and it's very nice to be here to be able to address the conference. The main point about the Green Paper is to start a debate about the role of adaptation at EU level, at national level, at regional level. Now, why adaptation? Because climate policy, the EU's climate policy, has of course justifiably focused very much on reducing greenhouse gas emissions until now. What can we do in the field of energy? What can we do in the field of transport to cut emissions of greenhouse gases? Now we know that even if we succeed with our objective, with the EU's objective to limit climate change to 2 degrees Celsius, there will be consequences. Consequences from the changes in temperature, the changes in climate that will result from global warming. And these consequences are, in terms of natural events, in terms of natural catastrophes and so forth, are issues we need to prepare for. And that's the essence of the issue of adaptation. So what, in addition to reducing our emissions, what can Europe do to prepare for the unavoidable consequences of climate change that we already see today, but that will probably increase in the future? That is the essence.
And which role can you imagine for regions, especially for maritime regions, in the implementation of this document? Well,
I mean, all levels, the European level, the national level, the regional level, the local level, have important roles to play. And let me also add that one focus of our document is also helping developing countries, which are the most vulnerable to climate change, to the consequence of climate change, helping them to prepare for the consequences of global warming. But what is the role of regions? What's the role of maritime regions? Well, the regional level has a very important role to play in this regard, because many of the policies, many of the instruments are formulated at regional level. I'll give an example. Spatial planning. Now, what we say in the Green Paper is that in the future, the issue of climate change needs to be reflected into our spatial planning. Regions play an important role in establishing what is the spatial planning for their region. Another example is infrastructure. When we build bridges, when we build roads, when we build dams in the future, we need to make sure that they are able to withstand the consequences of climate change, of rising temperatures. That's another important role for regions. And of course, coastal areas, which are maybe the frontal regions, if you want, at the front of the consequences of rising sea levels and so forth. For these regions, it is even more the case that climate change needs to be integrated into their development policy. And this is what we're saying in the Green Paper for adaptation.
Do you think that the effects linked to climate change can somehow modify some European policy? And if yes, how?
Yes, I think already today we see that climate change is starting to be integrated into other policies, into general economic policies, but also into issues of energy policy, transport policy. We see that both at European level, at member state level, at national level, we see that climate issue is starting to be one fundamental element when you formulate your transport policy in the future. We know that we have to cut emissions. So we know that we have to promote a shift from road to rail, from sometimes to shipping and so forth. So we know that, so we can see all across Europe that the concern of climate change affects the way we are starting now to design our policies. So I think that's certainly the case, yes.
Mr. CHELLEKENS, thank you very much for being with us in Florence, I would say.
Well, I would have preferred to be in Florence with you all, It would have been very nice. I regret not being able to be here, but I wish you, of course, a very nice conference and a very successful discussion here today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.